And welcome to our first episode of Godfall. For people that know, I'm Gonzo. I help run More Than Dice and about 50 billion other things. And if you're listening to this, you know this already. But I am creating a D&D campaign based off of 5th edition rules of a world that I've been had in my head and designed and dreamed about and worked on for 50 billion years. I'm that old. Don't believe me? Just look how fat and old I am and you'll figure it out. But I have been working on this world for a very long time. Nothing really put down on paper, just described. And so I wanted to play it. So I gathered a few people. We originally had 5 people. One person had to drop out. We'll see if we can grab a 5th. But before we get started, there are people in the room and they'll be playing with us. And we're going to start with the far left and just tell me your name, who you are. If you want to pimp something out, go for it. I do not care. So we'll start with Brian.
I was going to say, far left is kind of relative. I don't know where I am on your screen.
I know. So I'll name you out.
Hi, I'm Brian C.B. Steele. I consider myself the professional nerd, which is the name of my YouTube show every Friday. And I am an author, game designer, game developer, and so forth. My most recent release actually hit shelves this last week, and that was Adventures in Angel Grove, an adventure arc book for the Power Rangers Essence 20 role-playing game. At the same time, the Transformers role-playing game came out, but technically Adventures in Angel Grove came out after, by like a day.
By a day.
Yeah, the release dates on it were like 48 hours apart. So technically that's my most recent release.
Gotcha. Next, if you've listened to the show any, you know this person. She has been in pretty much every single RPG game I've done, except for like one, and that is our good friend and also one of the moderators on More Than Nice, Captain Mizzy.
Hi. Yeah. I do things. I show up, I do things. It's what I do. Yeah, so hi, Mizzy. I help Gonzo moderate More Than Dice, and then I also help run Warfare Weekend. That is happening next week. Oh my god, next week.
Yes.
Really excited, but oh my god. Anyway, yeah.
All right. Next person in line is a friend of mine that I met playing War Machine. Actually was very excited and was really cool to get to meet her at a convention. And we've kind of kept in contact. She ignores me most of the time because she's always busy because she's doing a lot of cool things. And that's Erica. Erica, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Hi. I just play D&D. Started playing, I guess, like 10 years ago now. And I DM sometimes. Me and Brandon have been playing together for the last 3 years or more. But I just kind of randomly run games at the local game store. And I'll also be at Warfare Weekend. I'm going to be running Work Borg and Pirate Borg.
You also do something else pretty cool that you just started recently. And what is that?
I teach yoga.
Not just teach it, but you also do some cool stuff with it.
Yeah, I sometimes I'll teach yoga at cons that I go to, or I recently got a little space of my own. Hopefully I can grow that. I quit my full-time job being a social worker for 10 years to do that.
What's the name of your yoga studio?
Embrace Yoga.
Got some cool designs. And the next person, our last person for this time, I just met about 15 minutes ago, although this person's been in the chat for a while discussing, and Erica brought this person over. So, Brendan, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Brandon. I've been playing D&D with Erica for, as you heard from her, about 3 to 4 years now. Super excited, got the call for this, and instantly she got 3 words out and I said, I'm in, done, let's do it. Then it was, well, I don't know yet, we have to find out. And I was like, okay, you got me excited. So yeah, I just play D&D. I don't know, I'm a nerd. I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of expensive equipment for stuff I don't use it for, so
and now you get to use this equipment.
Yeah.
So, these are the 4 people. We originally had a fifth, and they had to back out. We're going to try to find a fifth person because I do like parties of 5. I like odd numbers because they help out on certain things. So we'll be looking for somebody that can play on a Thursday at this time. We will be recording our sessions. We will not stream them. And if you know me, I will not be, editing this at all. So for what everybody's doing, this is going to be a 5th edition rule set, but we will be using a new world I designed. And so you can find the information. I will give it to you. We'll post it up. You can read all about it, but there are certain aspects of this world that don't happen in others, and there's certain things that happen in here that they're going to find out on their own. But before we get started, we always have to say that this game will always use the X card. For people that don't understand what the X card is, the X card says, hey, this is something that I don't approve of, or it upsets me, whatever. It doesn't matter. They can say, hey, and we change the subject. We don't question why. We don't do anything. We just do that. And then maybe after the session, it's like, hey, I put the X card because of this. Can we not do that anymore? It's fine. No problem. Everybody's here just to have a good time. We're here to have fun. And that's just how it goes. If you're not here to have fun, if you're here to try to make money, it's not going to happen. My podcast sucks, so don't worry about it.
Shush.
See, when you say that your podcast sucks, you're also telling me that I suck, and that's fuck you.
Yeah. So we're going to get started with this. The name of the campaign is going to be Godfall, and the reason why it's called Godfall is because of what the world is. We can go more in detail, and you can read the story online. But what happened is there was a world, and it had your typical fantasy, fights among races, fights among the gods. And in the last 30 or 40 years, the gods stopped doing that. And the world became peaceful. During that time, another about 50 or so years, a second group of gods came to this world and trapped those gods from interacting with their planet, per se. And a large fight happened in the heavens. And while these gods of the new world and the old world were fighting, the skies turned red. Everything was happening. Anytime someone died, their soul stayed on the planet. It didn't move on. So there was a bunch of souls going on. And at one point during this, a giant cataclysm happened where the old gods and the new gods fought directly on the planet. And when they did, they actually fell on the dwarven city and nearly wiped out the dwarven race. And they fought and did a bunch of things. And as a last-ditch effort, the old gods sacrificed themselves to protect the entire world and banished the shadow gods, is what they're called, to the southern hemisphere of this area and erected a giant mountainous barrier to protect anybody. And that was the last that was ever seen of those gods. But that's where it is now. It is probably about 100 or so years after that fact. But during that time, everybody has forgotten about the old gods. They don't know about them for some reason after they were killed. Instances of who they were out in the open were just completely wiped from people's minds. And so this is where we're at. Like I said, there will be a map and some other bigger details. But in this world, there are going to be different races. This is not your standard one. We have a limited uses of races. We have the elves. And in the story, the elves were very militant. They fought. They were the people that actually helped protect the world, provided a ton of magic. So they're very serious. They're very militant. They actually secluded themselves into the upper half of the realm, where it's perpetually autumn, to protect themselves from the new gods. Your dwarves became typically your standard type dwarves, but they were almost wiped out due to the cataclysm because they fought directly on the dwarven homeland. Fae are in this, and the Fae can range from simple pixies to satyrs. It's just a catch-all term for Fae type creatures. They're your typical, very whimsical, very playful, but very trickster types. We have goblins. Goblins have become the major trade center in the world. They figured out that it was time for them to take a big part in the world, and now they are the major trade centers in the world. They're very mercantile, but they're not. I wouldn't say they're violent, but they take their money very seriously. Don't mess with their trade routes. Don't mess with their money. Don't mess the way that they do business, and you're fine. Dragonkin are also in this world, but they are on the verge of extinction because when the gods fell, every single dragon in the entire world disappeared. And so they are very much on the run. They don't have an actual homeland. They're just stuck walking the planet. Humans are your typical, but they work very well with elves. They fought back really hard, and everything they did is in trying to bring their race and trying to save the world. And then we have what is called Horror Touched. During the 100 or so years that these old gods have been fighting over the planet, certain people have been touched by these creatures. And they're pretty much cursed. They can be any race, but they're cursed by the shadows and the horrors that are out there. During this 100-year war, people had found out that exceptional people, heroes and adventurers, when they die, their souls don't go anywhere. They stay on the planet unless they're absorbed by another hero. And so at this time, heroes may have another soul inhabit their body, and they're allowed to use the other soul's abilities. There are people that do this illegally, and then there are people that do it because they want to help and go on. What happens after a soul dies that doesn't want to join up with another hero is completely unknown at this time. So, before we go any further, do you have any questions about races or what you can be or what you want to be or what they're going to be?
I know what I want.
Brian has already had everything planned since I said, want to play a game with goblins in it?
So,
Yep.
with the Fae,
Mm-hmm.
you said that it was like from basically fairies to satyr.
Any type of thing that you could think of as a Fae type creature. So it could be an elf that's a Fae because you look like it. You could be, your appearance is up to you, but you follow the Fae rules of character creation. So you could be technically a bear that wears armor. You're just considered Fae.
So we would just use one of the, I guess, like stats for that race.
You would use the Fae
how would
stats.
Fae stats.
You would use the Fae rules, the Fae stats. You just look like anything you want.
Okay. Cool.
Erica?
I was thinking halfling.
We don't have halflings in this world.
I was gonna ask about that. I didn't see them as an option, so that's a no.
Yeah, there is no such thing as halflings in this
Yeah.
world. You could go
Okay.
with a Fae and have the appearance of a halfling. You know, just a small
Mm.
human. And this is where the Fae
Yeah.
is the kind of the catch-all.
Yeah, I'll just be a short human.
So you always want to be a human, though, instead?
Yeah, I'll just switch to a human. Just make her really short.
Yeah, and you can. There's nothing wrong with that. But halflings do not exist in this world. That you know of. Like I said, some of the stuff you'll find out through exploring and stuff, but some of the things I will tell you. But halflings do not exist in this world.
Is there a particular reason?
No particular reason. Fae was my catch-all because there is a story reason behind the Fae.
Okay.
So the Fae race that we would use, because Fae is just not like a race in 5e that we have.
Correct. If you're wanting to do that, let me know, and I will go grab the Fae character sheet. Unless you have it.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay,
because
I will grab you a Fae character. because Fays are not your standard. It also, oh, we forgot one more, Minotaur. The Minotaur.
I don't think you covered Dragonborn either.
He did.
I did.
Just that there weren't very
Did you?
many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm just tired. That's fine.
Okay. We did forget Minotaur. Minotaur is the other one that I included. Minotaurs in this world are the pretty much the Roman Empire. They actually do wear togas and act like, pretty much the Roman Empire. They are the epitome of society right now. They are the most advanced and the most, honorable society, best way to put it. And so they actually, their city is very much styled after a Roman city. Roman rules, Roman laws type thing. That's the best way to describe it without going in complete detail. Ruled by a council, semi-democratic, etc., etc. So, totally forgot about the Minotaur. So that would be something, Eric, if you wanted to be, you could be a Minotaur.
I think I'll stick with the human.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mizzy, what would you like to do?
I've got a couple of ideas
Okay.
that we've talked about.
And
I don't know.
Which one do you want to go with right now?
Let's go with Goblin.
Okay. Yeah, 2 goblins already.
Yeah, Brian. I told you I'm captain.
It's all right.
So now, if you want to be horror touched, you can be horror touched goblin, horror touched elf, horror touched anything else, because it's just like a curse.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be called horror touched or shadow touched?
Let's go with shadow touched. I will change that up. I had put it on there as horror touched.
Yeah, 'cause every time you say it, I think of something else.
Yeah. So we'll say it's shadow touched. If you want to be shadow touched, you can.
Eric, you got it.
So you could be a shadow touched human, and you get all the benefits of the human, and you get all the benefits and negatives of being shadow touched. If you are shadow touched, you have different stat changes. Besides what you get normally, you get +1 con and -1 wisdom. And once per long rest, you can turn into shadow form, which lets you pretty much become a shadow for 5 minutes. But there are negatives behind it. Oh, also one of the positives, you're immune to fear. One of the negatives is you suffer additional damage and crit effects from fallen followers, which we haven't talked about yet. So some of the classes are a little bit different. You have your barbarian, your bard, standard, no problem, druid, fighter, ranger, rogue, and wizard. Those are your standard. No classes or special abilities can do psionics or psychic abilities. There is none of that. The big thing is, in this world, clerics and paladins do not worship the new gods. Since this is a heroic campaign, you are what's called a fallen cleric or a fallen paladin, because sometime when you were trying to figure out who you were, you found an artifact or stories of the old gods. And you were like, oh, I like this old god. I've never heard of this. I'm following this. And so you were considered a fallen cleric or a fallen paladin. It means you follow the old gods. But you do get some negatives and benefits for being those. If you worship the old gods and you're a cleric or a paladin, your powers don't work as well as they used to. Starting at first level, all your abilities only work half of the time. As you grow in power, by 5th level, your powers work. You only have a 10% chance of failure by level. There doesn't mean that there can't be artifacts or something that might help you increase that, but this is because the gods are long dead and you're just following old tenets. But the good thing about this is if you're fighting shadow touched gods or shadow touched creatures or anything shadow related, all your damaging spells are an extra d6 per 2 levels. So at 10th level, you'll get 5d6 to do whatever damage to a shadow touched creature or being. Also, your crits are 2 better. So instead of rolling a 20, an 18. Because you've studied them long and hard on how to defeat the shadows in this area. Where you're living at the time, there is occasionally a shadow creature that will poke through, but they primarily exist below the Great Barrier. So does anybody have any idea of what class they want to be? Brian, go ahead.
I will be a fighter with
Okay.
the background of pirate.
Okay. Which
I
very
will
much
be
fits them.
buckling all of the swashes.
Very much fits that. Mizzy?
Do fighters get range weapons? I can't remember.
Yeah, they're proficient with almost every single weapon.
Yeah, that.
Okay. Just so another fighter?
Yeah. Another
Erica?
fighter, but with range weapons.
I was thinking about doing a cleric.
Okay.
I wanted to clarify about the gods. So, like your pantheon of the old gods, is that like your Forgotten Realms gods? Is that like
These gods you
who?
don't know about. These are just,
Okay.
you found some scriptures. So if you're planning on being a cleric, what I will work this with you in your story, and we'll do this off air, because it is actually considered illegal to worship the old gods. In the safer upper section of the realms, people are like, those gods don't exist. What do you mean? They don't serve us. They don't help us. They don't do anything. But in the southern part of the realm, if you are found to be worshiping those gods, it's pretty much immediate death.
So I wanted to talk to you about my background as well. I wanted to tie the god that I had an idea for. I didn't know if the god would be allowed or not in this setting to my background.
We can modify it.
I don't know if I'm going to butcher this. El Mater. I like that god a lot.
What's the god part
So it's a Forgotten Realms god.
of? Okay. What are they about?
So I was thinking about doing a background in being a doctor, because they're about disease and like giving to the poor, and basically they're like it's a god of service.
Okay. We will change the name, but I definitely have one of those old gods. And you and I, we can talk about this off air. That way people not that they won't use this stuff in character, but it'll be really good for your story and flesh out the, campaign a bit more.
Okay.
Brendan, you got an idea?
Yeah, I'm between, because I thought about doing a druid.
Okay.
And kind of like that, but then I was like rogue, because then I could steal shit.
Rogues are good.
Bring
I mean, you're allowed to play whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't play.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do druid.
Okay.
Druid. You
Um,
can still steal stuff as a druid.
still. Druid in this world worship completely. They don't worship any god. They just worship Mother Earth type thing. So there's no negatives to your effects of anything that you do. You don't get any bonuses, but you don't have any negatives. Type thing.
Planty.
Yeah. You're a tree hugger. The best type of tree huggers.
I live in a tree.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
Okay. So one of the things that is different about this game than anything else is what are called soul powers. When you die, and if you die, your soul can transfer to another player character. So I'm going to give an example. Erica, you're being caught, you're fighting, you die. At this point, anybody that has the soul power ability can either try to rip your soul into their body, or you can try to go in someone else's body. And so you die, your soul's out there, it's for everybody to see. There's a contest of wills. If you're trying to go against someone trying to absorb their soul against their will, it's a contest of wills check. If you're going willingly, it's okay. So you die, you can either completely disappear if you want, or you can be absorbed into someone else's body. And you still continue to play your character. The thing is now you're in whoever's body is there. So we're going to say like you die and you agree to join with Mizzy's character. You are in Mizzy's body. You can technically take over Mizzy's body once per day and control it if you would like. Or Mizzy could use your abilities once per day. So Mizzy is playing a fighter. Of course, fighters don't have the ability to heal. So Mizzy could call upon your power of healing and use your ability to heal somebody. Now, you can deny that if you want, or you can just let it happen. But once you are inside of a body, you are stuck there until that body dies. You can have up to 5 souls in one body, and it not just player characters. It is NPCs also. So you will have more than one character sheet in this campaign, and you may be in charge of 4 other characters, or it could be one of you is the only player character and the rest of our party members are all sucked into one body. For example, everybody dies but Brian. Brian willingly allows everybody to jump into his body, or you take over his body, and we could have only one playable character at the time. Now,
doesn't that get problematic with who's in control of the meat sack?
That's kind of the part of the story. Is it could be, no, goblin, I don't want you having sex with that lady. I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to take over your body for the time being. This is the point of this. It could be contest of will, great role playing, so on and so forth. And like I said, you could have an NPC that does this too. There is a section of the world, and it is very illegal and very painful, that if you are caught killing someone on purpose to steal their soul, it is a very, very bad thing in this world. You actually, once you are found to that, they actually execute you and capture your soul and hold it in prison for a certain amount of time.
What all has souls?
Any sentient being that has thought and language, pretty much all of our races.
Okay.
Not like bears and dogs and so on and so forth, okay. But pretty much anything, all of our playable races, and some NPC monsters. But you'll have to.
I was gonna say, what if it's like a sentient monster that we deal with?
You may see that.
Okay.
There is a possibility. Now, there are bonuses to having additional souls in your body. One is that you can call on their powers to do certain things, like, oh, I need to pick this lock. Well, I'm a fighter. Well, I have this soul in my body that is a rogue, can help out. One of the things that you can do, and this is where we've come into it, is you can spend all of your uses per day, and all of the souls give you every single benefit that they have, and you get the bonus of all the souls. So say you have a fighter, warrior, cleric, druid in you. You get the highest hit points, the highest stats, the highest everything, and you become an avatar of all of those souls at once. You may do this once every 7 days. And you get to fight like the highest. So you take the highest hit points, the highest abilities, highest everything. And you get to do this once per day. So you could be a little rogue with 30 hit points, and then all of a sudden you call upon all your souls to imbue you into an avatar state like form, and your hit points go up to 120, and you're able to hit at plus 10, whatever. Because the souls in you can have different levels. You could have a first level rogue in you and a 15th level warrior. So there's going to be more than that. Like I said, you can use their abilities once per day. Like I said, I'm going to call on my rogue soul to help me pick this lock quicker. Type thing.
I have a question about leveling up. How does that work if you have like a 3rd level rogue soul in you and then a 5th level fighter? How do you
your main
choose
character,
what to level?
Your main character, when your main character levels up, they all level up. So if you have a 5th level rogue and a 3rd level druid in you, and you're 9th level and you go to 10th, that 3rd and that 5th go to 4th and 6th.
Okay.
Type thing. Everything's based on you, what you do in the world. So there is a chance I may give you an NPC and said, oh, I'm going to, one of my hero friends, is going to die. I'm going to take him and, we're going to join together. So you may have a secondary 3rd, 4th, 5th character sheet. But we will talk about that in a little bit more detail. I'm not going to throw First session, not everybody's going to have 5 souls inside their body at once. You cannot go more than 5 at any time. That did try to happen during the Shadow Wars, when humanity was fighting against the Shadow Gods, and when someone tried to absorb more than 5 souls, it actually was like a mini nuke that went off in the area. And they actually use that to their advantage during large mass battles. But it is really forbidden to do that type thing.
So it's like suicide bombers.
Very much so. That's what happened in the Shadow War, which was the 50 or so years of setting up the realm until now. So, what do you have questions? You do have a copy of the map. I did label as much as possible. There are some things that aren't labeled because they're not, as important. And there are some small little hamlets and towns in the area, but they're just not labeled and they're not big enough to put on the map. And I'm not going to go that detailed. So, I did give you a description. So, like the elves, where they live, completely autumn all the time, very militant. They actually lead secret missions into the shadow half of the world to try to bring people out. The humans also help them with that. You've got places where everybody lives, and descriptions of that. You also have descriptions of certain areas that are major well-known, like the cave tunnel that is technically supposed to connect the southern and northern hemisphere together, but no one's ever made it through. It's just kind of a rumor. The northern half of the world has your typical seasons, except for the Elven realm. It's always autumn. So it will go through a, spring, summer, winter, fall. The southern half does not have seasons at all. It is perpetually dusk. It is always dark, gloomy, and dead. Some of the rumors that you've been hearing is that the gods once a year that rule this area, they bring together people and do a mass killing to absorb souls. That people get randomly chosen as tribute to the god, and their followers kill them, and the god absorbs their souls. There is a town, I can't remember the name of it, actually I don't have the map up, and the thing, that where people try to get to the other side, and it is very treacherous and very, not many people make it. So people are trying to be rescued, but it is not working out very well. The shadow gods cannot transverse into the northern realm. The Great Barrier stops them from moving at all. They can't climb the mountains, they just stop. It was the last will of the former gods that did that. Some of the stuff you will have to explore and look at on your own. I don't want to, get anything weird about that. But this is going to be the thing.
Okay.
All right, questions. Give me every single question you have about anything you want to know about, and I will tell you whether it's any character, out of character, or whatever.
Is it considered to be like just completely commonplace to do the soul thing, or can you be somebody who's kind of against it?
You can be against it. Most people are okay with it because nobody knows what happens when you die, when your soul disappears. So it is kind of common. And you could say, I'm not going to do that because, if someone were to die, but it's mostly led to adventurers. It's not like common folk have this. It's more of the heroic people and adventurers and high-ranking individuals. So this what leads people to go on adventures and do things because they want to become powerful. I'm going to go out and be an adventurer because I want to protect the world. I want to be able to help, and I'm going to, increase my soul power. So it's not uncommon. It's seen quite a bit. But then there's people like, fuck that. I'm just going to farm. Fuck you. Type thing. I'm just going to survive. But everybody usually has a big calling to become heroic and save the world and save other people.
Or to just make money.
Or just make money.
It sounds like a scary thing to want to attract other people's souls and put them in my body.
And you can do them. Yeah, you can either do them. You can either do it willingly, like you both agree, like, hey, I
No,
don't
I mean
want.
like just willingly, unwillingly. Otherwise, it seems like a terrifying aspect
Okay.
of wanting, like,
And that's fine. There is nothing that says that you have to, but there is a chance that a soul says, "I want to inhabit your body either way," and then it's a contested of wills, and you may get pushed into it.
well, my grandmother said that if you eat one turnip every week, it keeps souls out of your skull. So
And then you can keep that as a. And if you don't eat that one turnip,
I will spend my money on my turnips. I will have turnip juice in case we are not near somewhere. I mean, it's not as strong as a raw turnip, but it will do in a pinch.
yeah. But yeah, no. There are people that are like, I don't want to, and then there are people like, yes, I do, and it's usually people want to just because nobody knows what happens to the souls if they just disappear, because it is seen as a painful act if they have nobody to imbued. The best way to put it, or absorb into.
Our starting gold, is it based on our background?
Yes, everything's based off of everything in like normal 5th edition rules.
Okay.
Use the standard array to make your character, which is the point buying system technically. Well, not really point buying, but point putting or just stat putting, I guess is the best way to put it. If you have something you want to have particular, I'm not picky on weight, so don't get too hung up on weight. If you say you're going to carry around 50 swords, we're going to say no. Just common sense rules. If you
What
want
if they're really little?
if they're really little, that's fine. But if you're like 2'4" and you're like, I have 50 7-foot broadswords on my on my back, we're going to call it BS. I don't care about that. I'm not going to make you keep track of arrows, type thing. I'm not going to worry about stuff. I'll just tell you, no, that's too heavy to carry, or you may have to make 2 trips to take the gold out of this type thing because it's just too much for individual people.
Stuff them pockets fuller.
Yeah, you stuff what you can, and you have to leave the rest because there's too much. They believe I said it that dragons disappeared when the gods came down, and they're typically considered like, yeah, dragons existed. They're like a mythical creature that never existed ever to anybody. But there's still pictures and drawings, but nobody remembers a dragon. Nobody knows anything about them, and it's more like a story to scare kids. Shadow creatures. There have been talks of them. Some of them have made it to the other side. Shadow creatures do not have a form in their typical state. They're just an amalgamation of arms, legs, mouth, teeth, eyes, name it, and they flow very fluid. There has been rumors that if you see a shadow form that actually takes the form of something, i.e., it is a shadow creature that takes the form of a human or a, bugbear or whatever, you run because that is a shadow that has sentient thoughts and is considered to be very powerful and very devastating to people. Shadow forms range from tiny to gargantuans, although gargantuans have not been seen in a very long time. There are a group of people that do guard the gate, and they know most about that stuff, and that's where they get all that information. All right. Brian, anything else?
No, that was it.
All right. When you create your characters, just create whatever you've got. Don't worry about, don't get too obsessed with everything. Just follow the first, single player rules. Remember, there's no such thing as psychics. So when you start looking for additional classes, don't choose the psychic stuff.
Don't make a Kenku rogue with a soul knife.
Well, yeah, don't make a soul knife because they're psychics. Stick to the races here. If you have something you want to discuss about your character, let me know. We can always blend it. I don't have any problem. It's your character. You can have a story whatever you want. We'll just make sure that it's appropriate and fits within the campaign. And we'll work with it. Erica, your god is approved. We'll just name it something different so it's not
Okay.
infringing on anybody. I already had one in mind. I'll let you know.
Okay, cool.
There's things that you're going to find out through gameplay that I don't want you to find out until it happens. Because I want you to go, oh shit, or okay, cool. Type stuff. Mizzy, any questions?
Not right now.
Okay. Erica, any questions?
I did have one question, and I've forgotten it now. Come back to me.
Okay.
I will try and remember it.
Brendan, any questions?
Just because I just want to know this because I like to plan things out.
Okay.
Our first session, will our characters know each other when we first start, or is it going to be kind of like a natural?
You can know each other. I don't have a problem with that if y'all all want to know each other already. I mean, heck, Mizzy and Brian probably know each other anyway because they're goblins. And so that's not a problem.
Sure, we all know each other.
Yeah, you all know each other.
Intimately.
I'm not, ma'am, I'm not that kind of goblin.
I am not a ma'am.
No.
I remembered my question.
Okay, which question?
So is this theater of the mind, or are we going to use some type of like Roll20?
We are not going to use Roll20. It's all going to be theater of the mind. It is pretty much going to be descriptions and everything because I don't want to add that element and make maps and do all that stuff. We will use Beyond 20 to do the rolling. And I will have the rolling up on screen. It will be recorded so people can see what's going on. As a GM, you know GMs cheat. I will roll, but I may flub a dice roll, but you won't see it. But the people that watch the video can go, shit, Gonzo actually rolled a 20, but a 20 would have flat out killed, XYZ, and it doesn't contribute to the story. But we all know that that's how GMs roll. But I do want to do rolls on there. I only choose to flub whenever it's good for the story. And it's not, because I think it's kind of crappy as a GM to kill somebody else just because you got a good die roll.
Now, you said Roll20?
Well,
Are you going to do it on D&D Beyond?
You do it on D&D Beyond. We're not using Roll20. Okay. Sorry if
I was gonna say because I don't know about anybody else's connection, but Roll20 eats a lot of bandwidth to try and do with it and Skype at the same time.
Correct. But we'll use Beyond 20. Everybody has access to it. It's because it's your character sheet, so everybody will be able to do it. Yeah. But to go back to your question, Brandon, you can all know each other already. You could have been like, hey, we've done like some minor jobs together, or you've hired it out, and y'all can talk amongst yourself if you want to do that, and we can do that on air, or we can do it in chat, and I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, it makes it easier for me if y'all are all friends or all know each other at least in some capacity. But that's up to y'all.
Yeah. Okay.
So other than that, I guess I need to get a Fae character for you, Brendan, and you can take it over and claim it. Is that what you wanted to play?
Yes.
Okay. And like you said, you have all the Fae stats. Just describe yourself the way you want to look. If you want to be your typical pixie looking self, more power to you. If you want to be a leprechaun, I don't care. The Fae is kind of a catch-all of all Fae creatures. If you want to be a giant raccoon or giant squirrel, I'm not saying giant, but a larger than normal. You have all the stats of a Fae. You can just look however you want.
Okay.
And that's where you can get your halflings type stuff. Erica?
Kind of want to be a squirrel now that I know that's not.
The reason I made the Fae is because there's so many races out there that are like this, and the Fae can be any type of creature you want. You have all the stats of a Fae when you roll it up, but your physical form can look like anything that you want.
You can finally have your small race with a big weapon, Erica.
I know.
You can finally look like a halfling and swing a great axe.
But
Not the character. I know. I was gonna do like a shield spear kind of build.
I mean, and it goes this. Just go look up, Fey woodland creatures, and you could find out whatever you want. Fey covers anything that you want to play, just Fey reasons. And there's a reason why Fey are like this. But that could be, if you play a Fey, I will tell you the history of the Fey. And you may choose to tell people the history or not. That is completely up to you.
Might be a Fae.
We have 2 goblins. Goblins got tired of being the little shits and being stepped on. And so when the world went into hell, they established all the trade routes. They controlled the money. They control the coin of the realm. They control inflation. They control prices. They are pirates. They don't actually go out and kill people, but if they find a mercantile ship that doesn't have the proper paperwork or isn't in the merchant guild of the goblins, they will sink it.
If you fuck
Think
with
of
our
Ferengi.
business, we will fuck with you.
Yeah, think. If you know Star Trek, you know Ferengis. That's what goblins are. They're all about the money. Violent, but they'll do it. Does anybody else have any questions? You're always welcome to send me a message on whatever and say, hey, and I'll answer it. I don't have a problem. Or you can do it in the big chat so everybody can know. But if you are going to be a Fae, I will. If you're going to be a certain race that you want to know, I will give you a detailed history of the race. Faes is kind of a secret, so it would be amongst the Fae whether they share it or not. Because the Fae did something fucked up. Brendan's like, I'm in. Brendan's like, I'm in. Okay, so Brian, I know you're solid on Goblin. Do you have any questions about your character? Anything you need to know? Anything you fill out? Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty good.
Okay. Mizzy, you good with Goblin and choosing Fighter, and you're okay there? Erica, you switching to Fae now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Fae.
Okay. A Fae cleric. Okay, which will be cool. And Brendan, you're going to go Fae also?
Yes.
We will let you describe what your Faes look like when we get to play. Because the next time we play, it will definitely be after Warfare Weekend. And that'll be our first gaming session. So you will need to have your characters built by then. Other than that, everybody happy? No more questions? Because we'll end it here and we'll do some off-air stuff.
One minor thing, because I'm looking at my inventory right now. Your denominations of coinage all the same?
Yeah, gold, silver, gold, silver, copper. And platinum, electrum, yeah. The standard type stuff. Yeah. They're just all minted by the goblins.
Okay.
Goblins control the coin of the realm. So we are expected 2 weeks from now. So the 10th will be our next play date. Is everybody okay?
Let me pull up my calendar just to make sure that there is no conflicts. It should be fine.
Okay.
Thursdays are pretty generally open for me, unless weird things happen. But the Thursday the 10th is, yeah, totally fine.
All right, mark it out so no one can block it and do anything.
You are now unavailable.
Yes.
Yes. Now I've got a thing.
And we will try to stick to the closest schedule as possible. I know, Brendan, you get home a little bit after. That's fine. We're always usually BSing a little bit, so it's not that big of a deal. I do want to have our sessions roughly about 2 hours. And we'll take a small little break in between, like, all right, everybody get up and stretch, type thing at the, hour mark, just to give a little bit. Anybody can go potty, we'll take a quick break. And it could be, and if you need to leave to go potty, just leave to go potty and come back. Don't care. We'll bring you back in. So that's not that big of an issue. All right. If nobody's got any questions, we're going to play that outro music, and we'll be out of here. Ready? 5,
right.
4, 3, 2, dance.
Nobody else is dancing.
Why isn't everybody dancing?
Don't dance.
What?
We established this.